everyone and welcome to Yommycrochetlogy. This is Yummy Brown and today's tutorial is this cute raceback bow top that I called Lilliana top. This comes in two versions, close back puff sleeve and the raceback style. If you are interested of the puff sleeve, it is also available in my Etsy shops. The link should be in the description box below. So if you like my content that talks about crochet and styling our crochet pieces, please smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So let's get started. These are the things that we will be needing for this tutorial. The sizes of the hooks will be 4, 3.75mm and 3mm. So first things first is we will get our measurement from one side to the other side. In my case, this is 24 inches long. And then chain of 95 for the foundation chain, and that is 24 inches. If you needed more, just add more chains. And please refer in the description box or card above for the tutorial of foundation chains. This time, change your hook into 3.75mm hook. So we started with 4. And then skip 1. And single crochet the next and the rest of the stitches across your foundation chain. We're at the end of our foundation chain in the last stitch. So this is what our row 2 looks like. So this time the woven stitch will start. So chain of 2, turn your work and then skip a stitch and single crochet into next. That's what it looks like. Then chain 1, skip a stitch and single crochet the next stitch. Chain 1 again, skip a stitch and single crochet on the next. You have to repeat this pattern across. And this is the end of our row 3, ending with single crochet on top of the last stitch. So before we will proceed, I would like to emphasize that the woven stitch will actually shrunk our panel. So from 24 inches, my panel or my foundation actually settle in the 23 inches long. Okay, so from 24 it becomes 23. So make sure to use a bit stretchable yarn or give yourself a little bit of extra inches when you measure your bust measurement from side to side. Now let's proceed to our fourth row. Again, chain of 2 and turn your work. This time we will be working into the chain 1 spaces from the previous round. So that's the first chain 1 space. So you have to make a single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet again into the chain 1 space. Okay, so we skip into the single crochet and work our stitches into the chain 1 spaces. Again, chain 1 and single crochet into the chain 1 space from the previous round. Continue the pattern until you reach at the end of this row. So this is the end of our row 4, again ending a single crochet into the last stitch, and this is what it looks like. This time proceed to the row 5, again chain of 2 and turn your work. The same pattern, you'll just have to use the chain 1 space from the previous round and skip the single crochets in between. So single crochet, chain 1 and single crochet into the chain 1 space from the previous round. Continue this pattern until you reach at the end of your row 5. So repeat your pattern of woven stitch or row 4 until you have 6 inches long or enough to cover your boobs area. Okay, so from the upper boobs to the lower boobs, that's how long your panel should be. Okay, so we are here at the end of our 6 inches long for the panel, and I will finish it off with a chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet into the last stitch. So make sure your last stitch should be on top of the turning chain from the previous round, just to keep our work a little bit straight and neat. And this is what it looks like at the moment. So let's measure it. We end up here, and this is our panel, and it is exactly 6 inches long. Again, if you needed a more coverage, just add more row before we will proceed to the waist panel for the corset. So placing of stitch markers is like this. Okay, before we will proceed this part, we have to fold our chest panel in half like so. Put a stitch marker in that center stitch. So there's Harry there. And then count 15 stitches from the center stitch all the way to each side. Okay, so from here all the way here are 15 stitches. This is for your sleeve. And from the sleeve, align it all the way to this part for your corset. Okay, just align it to your sleeve stitch markers, and that's where we will put our corset panel or the waist panel for the corset. Okay, we will continue the woven stitch all the way here in the stitch marker for the waist panel. Chain of 2 and turn your work. And again, find the chain 1 space from the previous round and single crochet there. Chain 1 again and skip the single crochet and single crochet into the chain 1 space and then chain 1. So it's the same woven stitch, but we are working just within the stitch marker. So we're here in the first stitch marker, and again just put your last stitch into that stitch where your stitch marker is, and then chain of 2 and turn your work. Now repeat your woven stitch pattern until you have 3 inches long. Okay, again, if you want it longer, you can always add more rows. Here at the end of our waist panel, and we will finish it off with a last stitch at the top of your turning chains. So this is what it looks like right now, and we have 2 panels for the waist. So far this is what it looks like. Your panel should look like this. So this is a preview of what our panel looks like at the moment. So we have these 2 little panels for the waist, and we will single crochet in this side and make a scrunch in the middle, and then we will make a mesh panel at the back. Okay, so this one here in the center, we will sew this, and this is for the sleeve. So we're still here, and we will make an edges for your waist panel. So chain 1 and single crochet in every stitches across. So this is what it looks like. That's the first row of single crochet row, and you have to make another one. So chain 1 and turn your work and single crochet across. And then you have to repeat the 2 rows of single crochet in the other side of your waist panel. So this is what it looks like right now. So again, another preview of our top at the moment. So I already have the sleeve here and the mesh panel in the other side. So this is what it will look like once we're finished with the other side. So there's a mesh panel here, and this is our sleeves. Okay, so we will repeat that in the other side. So attach your yarn into the corner of your panel, and then chain of 1 And this time, since we're working in the side where this is mostly the chain 2 for, or the turning chain, when we were working the panel for the chest, you have to put 2 single crochet in each of those chain 2 or the turning chain. So I'm here at the top, and the last stitch is always on top of the turning chain. This is what it looks like right now. And then chain 4. Then turn. So this is the beginning of the mesh. Okay, this is for the back. And then you have to skip 1 stitch and then double crochet into the next stitch. It's like a little square. Chain 1, skip a stitch and double crochet to the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch and double crochet next. Continue the pattern until you reach other end. So we're here at the end, so we will finish it off with chain 1 and double crochet into the last stitch. So that's the first row of the mesh. Then chain of 4 again, turn your work, and then this time you will skip the chain 1 and put your double crochet on top of the double crochet. Okay, so this one here. So align your double crochet into the double crochet from the previous round, chain 1 and skip the chain 1 space and double crochet on top of the double crochet from the previous round. Again, repeat the pattern until you reach at the end. So we're here at the end of our third row for the mesh and end it with a double crochet into the chain 4. So far, this is what our mesh looks like, and you have to make 10 rows, and that is for small size. Add more rows of mesh, but make sure your mesh will not be touching each other's end if you stretch it, because we will still add more rows later. So I am here at the end of my mesh rows, and I have 10 rows of mesh or double crochet chain 1 double crochet pattern. And again, it's enough for me. If you needed more, just add more before we will proceed to the sleeves part. So this time we will attach our yarn where the stitch marker for the sleeves, and chain 1 and single crochet in the next 7 stitches. Then chain 1 and turn your work and continue your single crochet across until you have 46 rows of single crochet back and forth, or if you need more, you can always add more rows. Fit the top and make sure that you're comfortable with the sleeve. So I have here my 46 rows of single crochet back and forth, and that is enough for me. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And then we will connect this sleeve to our back panel or the mesh with a single crochet facing the wrong side. So I'm facing the wrong side and attach both of the pieces so I can single crochet them both. Insert your hook into both of the pieces and start your single crochet across. So pull a yarn and then we can cut off this yarn. So this is what our top looks like right now. Okay, so again, this is a preview. This is the back or the mesh panel, and our 2 sleeves is already attached. And then this time we will make a bow for the front. We will just crunch this middle part a little bit. Use your darning needle and the same yarn that we're using for the project or the top, and we will just sew the center. Insert your needle where your center stitch marker and start sewing. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and then we will pull the darning needle and then secure your front bow with few stitches. Insert your needle back and forth, depends how tight you want your bow in the center. So this time will be the preview of the direction of the single crochet for the edges. So from here all the way to the sleeve and down to the front panel or in the bow and back to the sleeve and going back to the back mesh. And then when you reach here, we will also single crochet the bottom part around until you reach where you started. So again, attach your yarn where you want to start your single crochet rows. Make sure your single crochet is facing towards you. And every time you are in the mesh part, you have to put 2 single crochet into the chain 1 space of our mesh. So far, this is what the single crochet edges looks like in the mesh part. And then you'll just have to single crochet across into your sleeves. And then continue your single crochet again to the front and into the bow and back to the sleeves and going to the back part of the mesh again until you reach at the bottom of your top. So I reach here in the other side of our back panel or the mesh. So this time from here, do not cut off your yarn and we will single crochet the bottom part. Okay, so we're already working in rounds at the bottom part of the top. So again, when you are in the mesh part, you have to put 2 single crochet into the chain spaces. So we're already working at the bottom part of the top, okay, or the crop top. Then going to the edges into your waist panel, into the bow, and again into the edges of the waist panel, edges of the waist panel, and back into the other side where we started. I already arrived where we started, and again I will just finish this 1 mesh left with 2 single crochets to close the row, and then slip stitch into that chain 1 that we made in the very beginning of the edges row. And then pull a yarn and we can cut off this yarn. So preview of our top, this is what the top should look like after the single crochet edging. Okay, so the front and the back and the bottom of your top should have an edges of single crochet, including the waist panel for the corset. This time you will do another single crochet. From here all the way to the top of the sleeve is single crochet, and when you arrive here all the way to the front and into the other side of the sleeve will be a scallop. Okay, so basically saying the back part will be single crochet and then the front will be scallop. So chain 1 and then single crochet in each stitches until you reach top part of the sleeve. So I'm here at the top of my first sleeve, and then from here all the way to the other side of the sleeve, I will make a scallop. Skip one stitch. On the next stitch, you have to make 5 double crochet in the same stitch. So that's your 5 double crochet, and then skip a stitch, and on the next stitch you have to make a single crochet. Okay, so that's your first scallop. Repeat the pattern of your scallop just front of your crop top. So I'm here, and this is the scallop. So this is what the scallop should look like, just the front part of your crop top. And once you reach the topmost of your other sleeve, we will single crochet again the back part. So continue your single crochet in each stitches until you reach at the bottom. So we're here, the mesh part or last stitches for the mesh, and we will single crochet, and it should look like this. Pull a yarn and we can cut off this yarn now. So this time we will make a little panel for your bow to wrap the bow so we can hide the stitches. First you have to make a slip knot, however you're comfortable in making one. And then a chain of 7. So here's your chain of 7, and then single crochet into the next stitches. And then chain 1 and turn your work. Repeat the 6 stitches across until you have 20 rows. So I'm here at the end, and I leave a little bit longer tail for me to use as a thread so I can sew each end of my strip. So using your darning needle, we will shut these edges, sewing it. So this is what my strip look like, and then we have to turn it a little bit so the edges should be at the back. And this is the preview of your top right now. So your top should look like this. And now we will make a chain of 200 for your waist corset and an iCord for the back. My iCord is roughly 1.5 meter to 2 meter, and my chain is 200. Again, you can always add more if you are in size or you're making a size up. So there is a separate tutorial for iCord and a chain. Just refer in my description box below or in the card above. So this time, each end of your chain should have a darning needle. And from there, we will use the darning needle to insert the chains into the waist corset. So I'm just using the rows of single crochet. So that's where I insert the chain and then start lacing it down. So this time, before we will insert our iCord, make sure you have 2 stitch markers just in the center of the back sleeve. Stitch marker between there. That's where we will start inserting our iCord. Okay, and again, I'm just using the single crochet row that aligns with the mesh, the first mesh here. That's where I will lace my iCord. Again, there is a separate tutorial for the iCord. I will link it in the description box below or in the card above. And then start lacing it down, and there should be 4 stitches between each insert. So I'm here at the bottom of my corset now, or the back lacing, so I'll just make a little bow to give a detail, and we're pretty much done. So I have a bonus tutorial for this top. I added a puff sleeve to my Lilliana denim top. If you are interested of the puff sleeve tutorial, please stay tuned for the next upcoming tutorial. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for staying with me and supporting my channel. So if you guys love my tutorials and designs like this, please hit that subscribe button and support my growing channel. And also, if you make one for yourselves, don't forget to tag me in my social. And I hope to see you again sometime next week. Goodbye!